Hello, everyone. This is your girl, Sade, reporting live from the Win in STEM podcast. Happy new month. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. For first-time listeners, Win in STEM is a platform to highlight successful people of color STEMists to show others how to get a seat at the table and win in science, technology, engineering, and math. If you didn't know, October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and what better career to highlight in our episode? A cybersecurity specialist. My special guest for today is Haja Savage-Adan, a self-proclaimed cybersecurity enthusiast. She's on the mission to help millennials establish a safer online presence by sharing cybersecurity tips and tricks. I'm really excited to have her on the show today because she has a very interesting career journey, and I think a lot of us can learn from her. So thank you, Haja, for being a guest.
Thank you again, Charlie, for having me here. I'm so excited to talk with you guys today.
So before we dive in, one of the things we do on the podcast is to allow our guests to introduce themselves. So I want this to be a time for you to showcase your accomplishments, success, share with the listeners who you are, what you do. I give you full permission to brag about yourself. So the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. As she explained, I have a very interesting background. I initially got my bachelor's in criminal justice in 2017 from UMass Dartmouth, and a year later, I decided to pursue a career in STEM. I decided, I didn't want to go to law school. I knew I wasn't going to become a doctor, so I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to give this tech journey a try. So I applied to Northeastern's Align program, which is specifically tailored for people with non-technical backgrounds that are seeking a degree in computer science. I completed the bridge program in about 2 years' time and realized, computer science is cool, but I'm not that math savvy. But I stumbled upon cybersecurity, which is a great mesh between criminal justice, but had enough technical skills, which is something I was really seeking, something I really, really wanted to work on. And again, can't go wrong with the money.
Okay.
Especially in today's climate. So I actually just recently graduated from Northeastern University. My degree just conferred in August. So woo,
Congratulations.
thank you. And I've been working in industry. I'm actually what's considered a walking statistic. I landed my job in industry before completing my degree. So as she mentioned, as Shadi mentioned, I should say, I started working for Liberty Mutual back in December. So I'm coming up on a year in my role.
Oh, yay. Wow. So you went from law school to computer science to cybersecurity. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you landed a job before graduating. Okay, sis.
I know, crazy. So I never even applied to law school. It's funny. I have this story I like to tell people. You could have told me that the LSAT book was $2 and I was refusing to spend $2. That's how I knew I just didn't want to go to law school. And look at me now.
Awesome. All right. So we'll get more deeper into your tech journey, but I'm really excited about this. So we'll set the foundation. So I know a lot of people, when they think of cybersecurity, they think of like identity theft, hackers, cyber criminals,
Yes.
or shows like Mr. Robot, The Matrix, Westworld. And I'm sure cybersecurity is way more than that. So can you educate us on what cybersecurity is and its importance?
Yes. So, safe to say, those references are not wrong. They're not wrong, but they're not all of what cybersecurity encompasses. So, the definition of cybersecurity, or the one that I like to use, is pretty much it's a set of processes, tools, and frameworks that you use to help protect networks, devices, programs from cyber attacks. As you mentioned, hackers, cyber criminals, their goals are to try to gain access into these systems or businesses in order to steal data. And why it's important is because on a lower scale, these type of attacks are a threat to our personal security, our personal privacy. And then on a larger scale, it's a threat to national security. So as the average individual, as the, any business owner, it's important for us to make sure that we're doing what we can to protect our information, to protect our data, because again, it's what makes us who we are. And if we don't do what we can to protect it, imagine what can be done if it ends up in the wrong hands.
I know cybersecurity is pretty vast. So what are the different types of like job opportunities within cybersecurity?
It's such a big field. Where do I start? You have your forensics, you have engineers, you have specialists, which is what I currently am. You have analysts. You even have policy making, which is an area that doesn't get discussed as much, but government risk and compliance, because it's not an area that is seen as technical. It's more on the conceptual side, but it is very important. So when you think of like lawmakers or lobbying, that very much so ties into cybersecurity. When we think of the government and how businesses go about implementing these laws, that is very, very important in today's society, just as well as pen testers. So when we think of hackers, or the good hackers, I should say, being able to break into a system, telling an employer, hey, these are where your vulnerabilities lie. These are very like important job roles that exist, but see how like the spectrum goes from one end into the other. So many different job titles. And even where IT or cybersecurity meets business, that ties into consultant. So you can be an IT auditor, you can be a cybersecurity specialist, like I mentioned again, or even just a consultant. There's so many different job titles that exist in cybersecurity.
I think one thing that's good about cybersecurity is I think once you get in the field, like you're good. Like every
Yes.
industry needs it. If you work in the hospital needs cybersecurity, making sure no one's hacking into their medical record systems.
HIPAA.
Yeah, banks, stores, online stores, like your favorite stores that you shop at. Like
Exactly.
it's amazing that there's so much opportunities in this field.
You can't go wrong. Even if you know a little something, you'll always have a job.
Exactly. So when did you first get interested in like tech, and was this always something that you were interested in when you were younger or you had in the back of your mind? I know you said that you started out with criminal justice. So how did you or what inspired you to make that transition?
It's so funny because I've always like played with video games, but I never thought deeply about like my interest in tech, if that makes sense. So,
Hmm.
really loosely, like when you see kids playing with tablets and like there's this frenzy about like, is that healthy? Like, I try not to comment on that because I was a kid that played video games.
Yeah,
I
same.
was also like, I know I had no business on MySpace now, but I was like, I was a MySpace girl and like I like tweaking
Mhm.
with the MySpace code, but I didn't understand at that time that that was coding. Same thing with
Mhm.
Tumblr days. Like, oh, once I figured out how to hide my music player, it was game over.
It was
Like,
all over.
like like I didn't understand that tied into computer science or that whole tech realm, but I did like that concept, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And once I got invested, like I got invested. But that's because again, maybe I liked video games. I like things of like that area. So, but I just didn't think deeply about, wow, I could pursue a career in this. It wasn't again until after I decided, wow, like I'm not gonna become a doctor. I'm not gonna become a lawyer. Before my
Hmm.
parents disown me, I gotta figure out something.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up honestly where I am, and I'm grateful. So
How did you kind of pinpoint that you wanted to be like a cybersecurity specialist, since you mentioned that there are just so many areas within cybersecurity that you can be in?
it took that algorithms class for me to realize that, wow, the math required for this is just not going to work for me. I liked computer science, but at the rate in which I was required to learn it, it wasn't working for me. Um,
Hmm.
and then I realized that I didn't want my criminal justice degree to just exactly go to waste,
Hmm.
because that is money and that is money that I do need to pay back. Um,
Yeah. Hopefully, Mr. Joe Biden cancels that. But yeah.
I really need to see what he's doing because these years, I'm not seeing anything. But and like with doing more research and also sitting in my classes, like I realized that like, wow, cybersecurity is actually like something up my alley. Like sometimes it really just takes one class and that one professor to really pique interest. I think that's what did it for me. And I was like, wow, I could really see myself in this. And I forgot to mention during my time in grad school, I was working at a police department. I knew I wasn't going to go into law enforcement, but working with the detectives and kind of learning about what they were doing, I was like, okay, like it's like fighting crime, but online, you know?
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone I told you about that tag race. But I think honestly, like, and then with being curious, I just allowed my curiosity to take over.
I love that. I love that. So now that you are like almost reaching your 1 year point
Yeah.
at Liberty Mutual, congrats again.
Thank you.
What is your day to day like? Like what tools do you use? Do you program? Like
So as a cybersecurity specialist with Liberty Mutual, so that's what the job title is referred to at my specific company. I think outside of the company, the closest title would be maybe like a risk analyst because I am analyzing risk.
mm,
So I'm looking at how like some of like the traditional infrastructure applications within the organization. I'm analyzing how risk looks, if that makes sense. So
mhm,
to break it down, the application teams would submit tickets to my team. Let's say that they want to use a port or they want to modify something in the manner in which that goes against Liberty's policy. So we're saying, okay, if you want to do that, here's what it'll look like. Here are some of the risks associated with doing that. Well,
mhm,
granted, based off of these risks. Like, are you aware that this is what could happen? And if so, you need to set up what is known as a remediation plan. As in, if
mhm,
one of these risks do take place, like let's say a hacker is able to break in, what do you have set up, or what are you going to set up so that they can't steal customer data, like so that they can't? Do you understand what I mean? Like so that
mhm,
they
yep, yeah.
like it doesn't become like some sort of mass confusion, essentially.
Mhm,
That's essentially what I'm doing. My day to day would be more so coming in, checking my emails, seeing if I've received any correspondence from me. It's a lot of back and forth again with communicating with the app team, setting up meetings. Also, since, like you said, I'm coming up with a year with being on the team, so I'm also still learning about how things are done with Liberty. We're also having what is known as I guess you can say a consultation. I won't name the company due to
mhm,
privacy, but like also seeing like what are ways that we can improve how we go
mm,
about our systems, which is really important, and that's also something that makes me still very attracted to my company because
mhm.
in cybersecurity you always want to look for ways to improve your systems, improve your methods. So the fact that I joined the team at the time when I did, and I see that we're still constantly trying to improve our methods, is a very good sign.
Yeah, I like how you said that. Always, you're still learning and constantly looking for ways to improve because technology is always changing,
Yes,
and you have to keep up with the current trends
yes.
because hackers, they don't sleep.
They don't sleep.
They they don't sleep. They come up with different ways to come and attack your system, computers. So it's good that you're learning to be, above that trend.
Very
That's really
much
good.
so. And that's what I like about cybersecurity. You never get bored, to be honest.
Do you work with any like engineers, with program managers? How does that work?
So specifically, like with my team, we're all cybersecurity specialists, but at a different ranking. With the
Hmm.
engineers, yes, but they are on a different team. When it comes to coding or anything of that sort, my specific team does not have any engineers and that do any sort of coding. Like our work doesn't call for that.
And that's also a plus because I took some programming coding class in college and that turned me all the way off. So
Really? I was gonna say, was it Python? Because I actually enjoyed learning Python.
yeah, it was simple Java.
Oh, okay, I understand. I did not like
It was the
Java.
basics, and I was not.
I
It was just not.
understand. Java was my least favorite, and I put emphasis on least. Ugh. But it's an
Wow.
industry favorite. I don't understand why, but I don't have
Wow.
to.
So hearing that you don't do any programming,
Mhm.
that sounds really good. Because, if I ever in the future want to switch,
Yes, yes.
it's good to know that I don't need to know any programming
I'm
languages.
grateful that I have that skill under my belt, but yes, girl, I'm glad I do not have to code.
So you talked about how like your favorite part is that you're always learning and not every day is the same day.
Yes.
So what are some common challenges you've experienced? This can either be at your day-to-day work or just challenges that you experience transitioning into the field.
Ooh, this is such a good question. And I would like to say that everybody in STEM always experiences this imposter syndrome.
Yes, yes, girl.
And this is another reason why I'm so grateful that I'm able to speak today on this platform. Like, you have no idea, because this just goes to show that, like, wow, I have come far, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that is a big challenge of mine. Sometimes I would sit at work and I'm like, do I even really know what I think I know? Or as I'm tackling an assignment, for example, this week I did my first readout, which is after I performed an assessment, the rating for it was considered high, which means that I had to then meet with the product owner as well as the IT owner, which is huge. So, oh my God, like when I say like my heart was like leaving my chest, it was literally leaving my chest, especially being new. But also, that's a really big deal for somebody who's like within her first year. And
Yeah,
I had to remind myself that my boss would have taken the assessment away from me. Well, that sounds harsh. My boss probably would have reassigned the assessment if he didn't think that I could handle it. I need to
yeah,
stop I need to stop doubting myself, you know? And that's when I knew that I'm letting imposter syndrome win if I keep talking to myself like that.
yeah.
And I know like a lot of us that are in STEM tend to do that a lot. That is a challenge that I can say, even at this point, even with as far as I've come, that is a challenge that I'm still trying to overcome. But I also
Mhm.
am trying to sit here and remind myself that I will get to that point where I'm going to look back and say, oh my God, I can't believe I was
I
like,
did that. Yeah.
but it's okay. I'm going through the woes and it's okay.
Mhm.
We've all been where I am, and I'll get there.
Yes, you will. Like I definitely understand. There are times, I think it's happened like last year.
Yeah.
Like at work, they gave me a task to do, and I was like, "Yo, I have no idea what this is." I was hitting up my group chats, like, "Yo, my manager's asked me just to do this project. I've never heard this of my life. Should I decline? What should I do?" And my imposter syndrome went from like 0 to
Oh
100.
my
Like
God, I know that feeling.
I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm over here Googling stuff and spending like late nights trying to make sure that, I produce something that's good. And come to find out, maybe like a year later, actually last week, the project was like successful and like they reached out to me, like, hey, like, thank you for producing this
Oh,
project. Like,
see?
it's out the door now. You were such a great help. And I was like, wow.
That
If
is such a good
imagine
feeling. I know you felt good. Oh,
Yeah, like imagine if when my manager gave me that tasking and I was like, nah, I can't do it. I don't have that experience. Imagine if I said no.
see?
Imagine if I cave into imposter syndrome, was like, yeah, I can't do this.
That's the biggest, I see that's that time whenever you're ready to tell yourself no, that's the time when you have to tell yourself yes, you
Yes,
can.
uh-huh.
Oh, and also too, I'm realizing more and more, like we used to make this joke in grad school, but it's so true. Google is your best friend.
Yeah.
If you don't know, just
Google,
Google.
YouTube.
I appreciate Google so much. Like if Google was to shut down, I really wouldn't know what I'd do.
Yo, oh my goodness. So back in the day, it used to be like Ask G's. Remember that?
Yes, I do. I actually use Ask Jeeves. I actually did use that search engine.
Yo, me too. Like Ask G came in clutch, okay?
When people be like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because, because why not?"
Oh man, oh man. So, so I know like in engineering, there's not much minorities. Thank God a lot of people are getting into the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then another layer is not much women. So how is that in cyber? Is it the same thing?
Oh my God. So I'm gonna make a very interesting confession because I wasn't sure if I even wanted to raise this to Northeastern or not, but during my graduation ceremony, I was the only Black woman to cross the stage for my
Hmm.
cybersecurity program. We have the footage, like, so my parents are both born and raised in Sierra Leone, and my dad, proud father. I had the flag and everything, and he was just like, I can't believe it. So what I'll say for cybersecurity, there were other women in the program, which again, I did a good job of connecting, talking. Like we have to hold
Hmm.
each other through because the aggressions in terms of like how my experience as a woman in the program versus how my other male friends in the program is definitely very different. The things that I would get told as a woman in terms of maybe you should just pursue something else or I don't really think this is for you. I definitely was told that. And I
You see.
definitely said right after, ha! I will see you at graduation. I mean, obviously it's
Okay.
the bathroom and cry, but like, like I'm still gonna push through.
Mhm. Look at me
No,
now.
literally, like I wish you saw me at graduation. I was like, ha! You doubted me, and look at me crossing the stage. But no, that piece really like really was like my motivating factor. I was like, no, they doubted me. Like I really have to cross the stage now.
Yeah.
I am happy to say that I am seeing a lot more women tackle cybersecurity. I do need to see more women of color or at least more Black women in cyber. So I live
Yeah.
in Massachusetts again. Like I know the culture in the DMV is definitely going to be a lot more different because again, there's a lot more women of color like pursuing a degree in cybersecurity or something like tech related, which makes me
Hmm.
so happy. I can only speak again on behalf of my experience, and I'm looking for women like me that are in this space. And
Mm.
like I did make another friend and I'm still talking to her still to this day. I'm still motivating her and pushing her like you have to finish. If I
Yeah.
cannot believe like I like that was I wasn't expecting that to be like my reality,
Hmm.
and it can't continue to be the reality at not just at like Northeastern, at any other school. There needs to be more like not just women, but more Black
Like
women. Yeah.
minorities, like it's crazy. I think one plus side of like COVID was a lot of people kind of went out of their comfort zones to look at other careers, especially in tech.
Yeah.
So that has really allowed people to be like, okay, wow, I can work from home and make money and be in tech.
Yeah.
I really, want people, Black people especially, like, there's money out there in these fields.
Very
People
much
are
so.
hiring.
They need people.
Yes. They need people. And I think it's just like exposure too. Like people just don't know that these careers are out there.
I said the same thing too. I said the same thing too. And I get that too, because I try to put myself in one thing again, I try to be empathetic in that sense. Like, what if I don't know that exists? The best thing you could
Hmm.
do again, like just share what you know. At least I'm
Yeah.
a big advocate for that. Like if I didn't know about like some of the resources that came across like on my journey, I just wouldn't know if I don't, you know, I hope that makes
Yeah.
is translating well. Sometimes you just don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, because I'm even thinking about when I was like in undergrad at UMass, I don't think cybersecurity ever crossed my mind or I even heard of
I
cybersecurity.
said the same thing too. Like, it's not that I didn't know about computer science. Like, one of my good friends was pursuing a degree in computer science, and even at that time, I still didn't think deeply about it.
Yeah. Like we
Like,
hear computer science, but we never hear about the fields or the different careers you can go into with computer science. Like we always
exactly.
hear the major, but not the career aspect.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Wow, that's a good discussion. Okay, I like this. I like this. All right. So, yeah, you've had like a really good, interesting, and successful career
Thank
journey.
you.
So what are the deal breaking skills that helped you get where you are today in cyber?
Ooh, if it's okay, may I name two?
Oh yeah, girl,
Okay.
feel free.
So one of the first skills I'd like to mention is one that I actually had to really work on. I know this might shock you right now, but I actually could be a little shy. uh,
Me too.
and
People don't believe me, but me
I tell
too.
people that and they're like, "What, you?" And I'm like, "Yes, me." But networking, networking is a skill that I will definitely say has helped me in this journey. I say that because when it comes to finding a mentor, sometimes it well, let me rephrase that. A mentor, what regardless of like whatever field they're in, it's still a mentor. Somebody can be a mentor in this space, like helping you with public speaking skills. Somebody can
Hmm.
be a mentor in helping you find jobs, like fix your resume. Like, somebody can mentor you in whatever way you need to be mentored, if that makes sense. And you
Yeah.
never know who they know. That's something I can say definitely helped me throughout this journey, because one of the first cybersecurity internships I was able to get was not actually through my school, was because a mentor that I met through a family friend introduced me to this program, which I was accepted for. And boom, the following year, I ended up becoming a cybersecurity intern at Bain and Co., which I would have never seen coming.
Wow.
Yeah. And then shortly after is when I started again, like my big girl job at Liberty Mutual. I really owe that to networking. Another form of networking, I actually joined this organization called Women in Cybersecurity. That's another place that I found my first mentor in industry. She happens to be the head of GRC for LinkedIn. See?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, like that, like wow, like I'm like a little fish in this big pond, like
Mhm.
but networking, just going to these different events, talking, and like I found out about that organization just by going to an event and just talking,
Mm.
and someone said, "Hey, I really think you should join this." I cannot even stress that enough, how networking is so important. The second skill that I think helped me a lot in this journey, and I think also too as like for college students or wherever you are in like your career, is problem solving. we
Yeah.
we talk a lot about hackers, whether they're good hackers or black hat hackers, which are the bad ones. They're very determined. You know why? Because their philosophy is where there's a will, there's a way.
Hmm.
They have a problem. Their problem is they want to get into some system. They're determined to find the solution. That's problem solving. Whatever it is that they, like they want to figure out how to solve that problem. That is one of the biggest skills. And correct me if I'm wrong, in any engineering field, I know definitely for cybersecurity, even math, problem solving is a very big, important skill that you will need to eventually master if you want to be successful in cybersecurity.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely agree. Even like in engineering, problem solving skills is needs to be A1. Like you need to be able to think outside the box, think
Yes.
of creative ways to find solutions or even build solutions. Like I definitely agree.
So those are my top two.
And then networking, yeah, I always like the phrase, what is it? Your network is your net worth.
That is very true.
Because
You just never know.
you just never know that next deal or next job that you're looking for can really be in the hands of a person. Like
Yeah,
sometimes you don't even need experience. You just need to know who's in the room.
that is very true. And I say that I cannot stress that enough. It's very true. It all starts with a
Hmm.
hello and a firm handshake.
Hmm. Yep. And a smile.
Yes.
So, are there any like specific certifications you need to break into cyber? Because I know like, a lot of people want to shift into cyber security, but they probably don't want to go to school to get another degree.
So this is such a good question, because I know I took the school route, but because that's what I know what was best for me and my learning style. I think need is a very tricky word for this situation, because I know the Security Plus certification is a popular one that most people tend to pursue when wanting to transition into cybersecurity.
Hmm.
But it's one thing to get the certification, It's another thing to not have any experience to go with it, if you
Mm-hmm.
understand what I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity or any other like technical field is practical, it's hands-on. So yes, you can have the certification on your under your belt, but employers, from my understanding, I should say, and my understanding stems from research and from talking with other people, is that what can you actually do with what you learned? Because yes, I could
Mm-hmm.
sit in a classroom and say that I know what the CIA triad is, but what does that look like? How is that applied? Can you tell me a scenario in which you would use that? Like, how can you actually take what you've learned and apply it somewhere? So, labs, do you have any internships? Have you done any apprenticeships? Have you shadowed? Things of that manner. So I would say if you are going to get any certifications, again, like the Security Plus certification is not wrong. There's another one that I don't know how come it doesn't get discussed as much. It's called ah, it's another entry level one. GIAC Information Security Fundamentals. It's another one for those who are like interested in or new to information security and they're just trying to
Mm-hmm.
learn more. I don't know why it's not discussed as much, but it's another entry level certification. You could also have that like under your belt. But those two would be the ones I recommend. That coupled with some sort of Udemy class or a course certificate from like cybrary.it, hackthebox.com. That's a very popular website in which people go to take practice labs.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that that you can showcase on your resume as well as on your LinkedIn to show that you have like hands-on skills.
So speaking of resumes, so let's say if someone like me, so I've been working as an engineer for like 7 years,
Hmm.
and I want to switch into cyber, and I might not have a lot of hands-on experience. So, and it might be in a little too late in the game to get internship experience. So, what would you recommend for someone who is already, let's say, they're already a professional?
Okay. Well, one, don't sell yourself short. Don't say it's too late in the game. Trust me, don't. It's never too late. I would definitely say you can never go wrong with seeking an internship because they still will take you, especially with as an engineer, because your mind is still set up in a similar manner in which you know how to approach problems, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. You have the curiosity, you have the mindset in which you want to break down problems and get down to the core and figure out what's the way to approach this. Do you get what I mean? You won't be necessarily starting from scratch. You'll be starting from a foundation in which you're willing to grow, you're willing to learn. That's great. I would start there. There's a website I can recommend apart from the other two that I mentioned, so cyberattacks.it and then the
Mm-hmm.
Udemy course. There's another website that came to mind called cybersecurity They also have like a list of different like career routes you can take. I would definitely
Mm-hmm.
recommend checking that website out. It's a very detailed website too. It's one that I used when I was trying to figure out the different areas in cybersecurity, and it explains what each role consists of, like what you would need to study in school. So I definitely recommend checking out that website. If for those that may be listening, if you're located in the Boston area, the program that I took part in, as someone like you mentioned, like yourself, who was an engineer and you have experience under your belt, Hack Diversity was a program that I took part of, and
Mm.
you'd be able to apply. It's a free program. It's about 6 to 8 months long, and over the summer you would complete an internship program with the hopes of it converting into a full-time position. If not, they will also help you land a role. Really great. Highly recommend that. And then there's also another, I know it's Massachusetts. With Hack Diversity, actually, I think they accept applicants outside of Mass. Please don't quote me on that. But if you are located in Massachusetts, there is another mentorship program that also helps out called Mass Cyber Center. They're another place that will also help too.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll definitely put all those resources in the podcast description. So let's say after we have our resume all set, we have our degree or certifications.
Mhm.
Are there specific job sites you recommend to find cybersecurity jobs?
Ooh, so that is such a great question. If you ask me, right now I'm leaning towards LinkedIn. I am leaning towards LinkedIn because I've had success with LinkedIn in the past. Although I was able to get my job through networking, I trust LinkedIn a lot more than I do other popular job search engines. I'll just word it like that. Dice is another one that is popular amongst tech job, like in terms
Yeah,
of finding
I've
tech
heard
jobs. And
that.
then actually the Mass Cybercenter.com, which is the website I just mentioned, or the mentor, they also have a job board too that sifts through these things and actually has listings for job companies. So yes,
Mm.
definitely I would recommend checking out their job board so that you don't have to go through fake job postings.
Yeah, because there's been like a increase in fake job postings and then
Yes.
fake interviews, fake offer letters, a whole nine yard.
Yeah, which is on the rise. Very, which is why, again, why I refrain from naming popular job posting boards. I can no longer support.
And that is why cybersecurity is important to filter out the real from the fake.
Yes. Yes, and that's also another skill set too that I really hope that maybe even for like high school students or even like colleges or helping students learn like how to see what is a fake job posting from a real job posting. It's another form of social engineering that I'm realizing that
Mhm.
cyber criminals are playing with.
Yeah,
It's sad,
it's
but
crazy. So we've covered an example of a professional that's already in the tech realm that wants to transition into cyber.
Mhm.
So let's say we have someone who's really interested in cybersecurity but doesn't have a tech background.
Mhm.
Maybe they have a public relations or international studies degree. So they've started looking at several different self taught resources, but they just feel overwhelmed by everything. What would be your best advice for someone in a situation like this?
Okay, I could definitely relate to this because I was that person. First things first, take a step back and breathe because it's so easy to get overwhelmed. There's resources here, resources there. You don't know where to look. You don't know which one to listen to. You don't,
Yeah.
especially at the time when I started, I don't know anyone in industry. I didn't have anyone to turn to look to. I didn't see anyone that looked like me. So I had to take a step back. And the website I mentioned, the cybersecurityeducation.org, was the first website I went to. And I that's the first place I started, and I started to break it down piece by piece. Okay, so
Hmm.
I knew I was interested in this, but what's a job title that I could see myself in? Like, okay, to be honest, I thought I was going to stop working as a security analyst. If you asked me back then, that's what I was working towards. Midway, I was like, "Ooh, I'm going into digital forensics. Look at me now." you know, but kind of setting a giving yourself a starting point. I would definitely recommend like, taking a step back, but using that website I mentioned, cybersecurityeducation.org, because it does a
Hmm.
really great job at breaking it down for you. It even lists the schools that offer cybersecurity as a degree program or something similar, at least, so that you
Hmm.
now can start to build your game plan, where you would want to apply, what classes you would need to take. Because I think that's the reason why it's so easy to become overwhelmed is you're trying to tackle so many pieces at once, and you
Yeah.
have to just take things one step at a time. I would recommend start doing that. And a really random piece of advice, and I actually stumbled upon this book during COVID, is if you can, or if it's not like too much of a extra load, is to read Atomic Habits. I forget the name of the author, but that also helped me too. Uh,
Oh.
yeah.
What's the book about?
Literally the same. Like instead of like, it's another way to approach goal setting. Instead of saying like,
Mm.
"Wow, I want to lose weight," it's setting up systems to actually achieve that goal. So don't just be someone that wants to lose weight. What is that person in your head that has like lost weight look like? Is that an athlete? Okay, so an athlete then wakes up 5 times a day, eats at this time, works out at this time. It's actually setting up little systems, like little attainable like routines that you can actually do so that you get to that goal.
Ooh, I love it. Let me add that to my list.
It's really, really, I love the way like the author breaks it down, because it doesn't make the task seem so daunting. You actually feel like you can do it, and you start today. Well, when you look at it like 6 months later, you can see the little things that you've done to get to that point. So if you're someone that's saying you want to tackle or you want to enter cybersecurity, and you start now and you set up these little systems, by the time you complete your first year, you can look at the little things that you did to get to where you are. It's very admirable.
Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely adding that to my list. I need to do better with reading outside of work. So thank you for the recommendation.
You're welcome.
But girl, this was an amazing conversation. I had a lot of fun.
Me too. Me too. I love this.
Fun. Like coming from a long day of work, you gave me a lot of great energy.
Yay!
And
Thank you so much. No, you did too. I was so excited. I was like, yeah, fellow STEMist.
Yes, girl. Black girls in STEM, you out here.
Yes.
And from both Massachusetts too.
Yes, okay. I know. I saw
West Africa too.
Yes,
okay.
We need more of us. That's what I was saying. I was so excited. I was like, I can't miss this.
And I know our listeners are also geeks as well.
Yes.
Might be loving this. So if they want to follow up with you, how can they reach out? How can they connect?
Yes.
How can they network?
Okay. So as you know, I just started my new cybersecurity page, a new cybersecurity brand called The Script.
Woo-woo.
Feel free to follow my new page. That is The Script, THE_SKRYPT. If you're wondering why it's spelled like that, please feel free to take a trip to my page. I have a lovely explanation. And if you'd like to professionally connect with me on LinkedIn, my name is Haja Savage. If you see any others, they're probably Sierra Leonean as well. I'm the one that works at Liberty Mutual.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Haja, for schooling us on cybersecurity. Listeners, if you want to learn more, make sure to reach out, follow her on her cybersecurity page on Instagram. I'll make sure to input all the resources and all her page links, everything in the podcast description. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the STEM Career Path series. Make sure to rate, like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at the When in STEM Podcast. And if there's any particular career or you want to be a guest, make sure to send us a message. Until next time, enjoy the rest of the week. Be great and go out and win in STEM. Bye, everyone.
Bye.